Click the link in the description for your free Amsoil catalog. Before we get started, I'd like to give a quick shout out to some of our friends. The Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. Search for them on Facebook. Central Minnesota Pond Racing. Search for them on Facebook. The historic Lancaster Motel for the ultimate Eastern trail riding adventure. Crane's Snowmobile Museum at 172 Main Street in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Vintage Snowmobile Club of America Quarterly Magazine. The Bridge Street Garage Racing Team, the house racing team of the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast. The New Hampshire Snowmobile Museum at Bear Brook State Park in Allenstown, New Hampshire. And lastly, if you decide to advertise with the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast, this could be your advertising message. Good evening and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here. I have a robust lineup of vintage snowmobile entertainment on tap for you tonight. But before we get into all of that, I want to make sure that everything is working properly. So if you can see my face and hear my voice, I'm going to ask you to make a comment. Let me know where you're viewing this from and whether you are a first-time viewer or a regular viewer. Now, to our first-time viewers who are here tonight for the first time, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a good time with us and decide to join us here each and every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This podcast simulcasts to 8 different places across YouTube and Facebook. So wherever you're viewing this, just circle back here next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday night and join in the fun. We'll be here waiting for you. Also, to our regular viewers who are here week after week after week and season after season after season, thank you so much for doing that. You guys are the ones that make this possible, and we thank you so very, very much. Let's take a couple of quick comments here, and we've got a couple of guests waiting for us. I don't want to keep them waiting any longer than we have to here. We've got Reese Fleury saying hello. He said he can hear us loud and clear from Tupper Lake, New York, regular viewer. Rick Matson says, sounds good from northern Minnesota. Thank you for that. Victor Polster watching from Ontario, Canada. First time watching the podcast. Thank you so much, Victor, for stopping by. Hope you have a good time with us and decide to join us here each and every Thursday night. I made a mistake earlier. I said Wednesday night. That's when we do the Muscle Car podcast. We do the Vintage Snowmobile podcast on Thursday nights. So pardon me for that. Brian Van Haverbeek says, hear you loud and clear from Mount Bridges, Ontario, regular viewer. And he says, good evening. one more comment, and we're going to bring our guests on. Stacy and Art Fosler, regular viewers from the very beginning. They're saying it sounds very good from Platkill, New York, regular viewers. Okay, so I'm going to continue to pop the comments on the screen, but I'm going to bring our friends on here just a couple of clicks away. Well, sorry, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons here. Okay, here we go. It's all in the button you click. Gentlemen, good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Good, Mike.
I'm doing good, Mike.
Good. Nice to see you and nice to hear you as well. Cool deal. So we've got Rob Hilditch, our regular gentleman here, our Amsoil guy here. He's here with us each and every week, both on the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast and the Muscle Car Podcast. Thank you so much, Rob, for coming on. And then we've got Ray Lacasse, who's been on this podcast many times, and he's going to be telling us about some events that he's been involved with and has in the works. So we've got a robust evening for you on the theme of vintage snowmobiling. Before we get started, any comments, gentlemen?
I'm wondering if the guy in northern Minnesota has snow up there yet.
Good question. Yeah, anyone who's got, let's pose that to all of the viewers. To anyone who's got snow on the ground right now, please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear if anyone's got snow, and if you've got enough for some yard riding, that's even better. But cool deal. So let's take a look here at the menu tonight. We've got our item number one. Our guest is here live, Ray Lacasse, and he's going to tell us about some recent and future vintage snowmobile events. So we're going to put you full screen, Ray.
Okay.
And, please talk to us.
Yeah, so we just had our first annual Great Northwoods Vintage Snowmobile Show in Swap Meet back in September, on September 17th. Worked out to be a beautiful day. It was supposed to rain, and ended up there wasn't a cloud in the sky. We had probably approximately 30 sleds there. Not a ton of sleds for the first event, but we didn't know at the time when we scheduled this until we got deep into it that it conflicted with another show. So next year that's all taken care of, and the dates are separate. So I think we're going to have a big event. But we had a huge spectator turnout. We had some unbelievable sleds, which I know you have pictures of and a little bit of video of that we sent to you. So we're really looking forward to doing that next year. We had a lot of people because we've done 2 vintage snowmobile rides now up in Pittsburg, New Hampshire, and this is where the show was. We've done 2 Great Northwoods Vintage Snowmobile rides, which were huge successes. And this next year on March 4th, we're doing our 3rd annual Great Northwoods Vintage Snowmobile ride to coincide with what's called the Parade of Lights in Pittsburgh on Back Lake, where they're trying to set the Guinness Book of World Records for the most snowmobiles in a parade. Last year, there was probably close to 1,000 or better sleds. They're expecting more even next year. Excuse me. And the vintage ride in March, on March 4th, it's a 30-mile ride, a cookout. We give away a few prizes. We're going to be raffling off another sled this year. We're waiting to get that ready before we have the tickets out for sale. And it's a huge event up here. And if anybody, or if you've never ridden in Pittsburg, New Hampshire before, it's one of the top destinations in North America for snowmobiling. It's a great time. The trails are great. The scenery is great. The people up here are fantastic. They look forward to having everybody up here.
Wonderful. Now, I do have some footage queued up, footage that you were talking about. I know that you were able to take a lot of images at the event. I put them into a little montage with some music under it. Let's
Awesome.
Get that rolling here and take a look. And I think I may have to load that again. It's funny, every podcast, that first video just doesn't want to come on. It must have stage fright or something. So let me try clicking again. I'm going to get a big hook and pull it out onto the stage. Good times in Pittsburg, New
Cool.
Hampshire.
Yeah.
Cool deal. And we've got some footage you shared with us too. We'll be looking at that a little later in the podcast. But
awesome.
Any reactions, Rob, to what we've been looking at? Or
I seen that caboose with leopard skin on it. That's not factory Arcticat, is it?
I don't know, but it's cool. It sure is cool.
Yeah, it looked like three people could fit in that one.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And you're talking about your vintage ride is going to be 30 miles?
Yes.
I don't know if my back could take that on my own machine.
Well, I tell you, the last year was a little bit bumpy because we got 18 inches of wet, heavy snow that day. They were perfectly groomed the night before, but it didn't take long with that wet, heavy snow to get pushed. But the year before, it was cold. The night before, I mean, it got down to about 7 degrees. And it was beautiful for the vintage sleds because it was just flat, the whole 30 miles. It was awesome.
Yeah. Is it 30 miles around the lake, or is it through the woods and the trail?
No, it's through the woods. Nice. We do this one loop. It's kind of off the main trails. It's as wide as the main trails, but it's not as commonly used. So it works very good for this ride because there's not a lot of people on it. And in the club, the Pittsburg Ridge Runners are just awesome. I call them up and tell them we're having this event, and they have me mark down the trail, and they just go out at midnight and groom this trail. It's beautiful. I can't wait for next year.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Now we do have some comments coming in. Let's take a look here. We've got John Spranger Jr. says, sounds great. He's a regular viewer as well. John Wernsdorfer, good evening from the eastern shore of Virginia. Roger Cormier from Winnipeg, Manitoba, regular viewer, everything sounding and looking good. Here's one of the questions to the answer. Here's one of the answers to the questions we put out there. Rick Matson says he got 4 inches of snow, but it's all melted. And but it won't be long.
I bet there was some tracks in it though before it melted.
Yes. Yeah, good question for you, Rick. Let me pop that back on the screen. Rick, were we able to do some yard riding while that was on the ground? And to anyone who does some yard riding or any kind of riding for that matter on a vintage snowmobile, please take some cell phone footage for us. We would love to share that with everyone here on the podcast. All you have to do is be sure and hold the camera horizontal like this for a wide shot because it's very difficult to edit vertical footage. And take some drive-bys with some yard riding or anything you can get and just contact me and we'll figure out how to get it here and I'll edit it up into a little something we can enjoy on the channel here. A few more quick comments. David from Alaska Railroad says, good evening, Mike, Rob, and Ray. Good evening back to you as well. Also, David says he loves that 76 TX. He said he had one, wishes he still did. He's a diehard TX and TXL guy. And that was yours, wasn't it, Ray?
That was my sled.
Yeah. In fact, let me pop that graphic back on the screen. You are a diehard TX and TXL guy yourself too, aren't you?
I was. And in fact, the next vintage sled I have is going to be a TXL.
Sweet.
I want a TXL. We've got to get out and travel a little bit, I think, to find one.
Yeah. Yeah, those are sweet sleds. We had one when I was a kid. We had a 76 TX 250, and that was a sweet sled.
Yeah, I had a 77 TX 250 that I used to race. And that's why when I found this 76, it's not the exact sled, but it's the same style.
Pretty darn close.
You just don't see a lot of them, in this area for sale, and one that's running. So, I had to pick it up and restore it and love the sled. It's fun when you're on the trails. The age group of people that are going by you, if they just stare at you and keep on staring at you and go by, they don't even know what you're riding. But you get the guys that turn their heads and their thumbs come up, and then they follow you to the next intersection so they can look at it. You know the group of people you got. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then one more comment. Roger Cormier says, nice show. Lots of wonderful memories of the good old days. Absolutely loves those El Tigres. Now, with those Dave Stroud's El Tigres, that he wasn't that, was he?
No, it wasn't Dave Stroud. I can't remember the guy's last name off the top of my head, but he's local to the area. Yeah. And he had him. It's the first time he's ever gone to a show, and it just happened to be because it was close to him. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. He's looking forward to it next year.
Nice. That's cool. We're going to have some regulars for that show.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few more quick comments here. Stacy and Art Fosler, they have a 71 TX Charger and a 78 TX 440. Wonderful.
Yeah.
If you're able to, we'd love to see some footage of that. Just kind of a walk around like you did with that Chevelle and that truck. We would love to see that and share that on the podcast. David from Alaska Railroad says he has an awesome a 1980 TXL. Cool deal.
Yeah, I'd love it. I think it might be a little ways to travel for that one, though.
Yes. Now, was that when they went to the color blue? Was that the year they transitioned, or was that 79? Does either of you guys remember that?
Well, I think 80 is when they went to the Centurion style.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the style like we have now, the 77 or the 76. I don't think it's that style. I think it's a Centurion style, if I remember correctly, in 80.
Yeah, because I think it was 79 or 80 when they switched the whole lineup from white to blue.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it might have been 80. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, because I know my dad bought a brand new 1980 Gemini, and that was blue. And the prior year, or maybe the 2 years prior, it would have been white.
Yeah.
And then here we go. Brent Corbin says, watching from mid-Michigan, have had all the vintage sleds fired off last week and enjoying the show. Cool deal. And okay, Stacy and Art Fosler, 1980, he believes, is when they changed from white to blue.
That's what I thought. I wasn't 100% sure, but
cool deal. Cool deal. Well, let's take a look at the menu here. We're on item number 2, and that means it's time for Rob to talk to us about AMSOIL. And let me bring up the graph. Let me pull you full screen actually first, Rob. Here we go. The show is yours,
Okay,
my
Mike.
friend.
Every month AMSOIL has a promotion thing, and this month they have a thing. If you order $100 worth, they're going to send you this extended pole with a magnet and a light on it. Yeah, it comes on. I had it on twice already. In case you drop a tool down an engine or something, it'll hold a pair of pliers. You can pick up a pole if you got it. Anybody who wants to get an AMSOIL discount, get a hold of Mike, because by becoming a preferred customer, you save 25% on all the products. You order $100 worth of product, they ship it to you free. You get a $5 gift card at your birthday. You buy $100 worth of product, you get a $5 gift card. You can use it towards either buying a hat or towards your membership or anything you want. But the next 2 weeks, they're offering anybody that orders can get this extended pole, 36 inches long it goes, with a light on the end of it. Just an extra gift for ordering some products.
Yeah, that's a really useful tool and incredible value too. And there is a link in the description if you're curious about joining the preferred customer program. There's a link in the description. Just click on that and get you started. Cool deal. Cool deal. So let's see. We are on item number 3. As we were reviewing that montage, we kept seeing that Rupp Rebel in there. I'm sure that's caught a lot of people's eye. Turns out he's someone that Ray and I both know. It's Ray Parenteau, and he lives just a few miles from me, maybe 10 miles from me. I was over there recently, and we were able to get some video footage of that Rupp Rebel. So let me, it just takes me a second here to get where I need to be, but I'm going to queue up that video, and let's take a look at that Rupp Rebel. Looker, man. I mean, they all are, but this one is really...
Oh, my God. See, Rupp never made that sled. That is not a factory-made sled. That is
Like a kind of a Frankenstein?
yeah. So, my name is Ray Parenteau. Live in Derby, Vermont. I acquired this sled this summer. A gentleman custom built this sled. His name is Rick Weaver. Rick Weaver built this sled probably 10 years ago. Rupp never built a sled like this. He calls it the Rebel. And it was mostly built out of NOS parts that he had acquired. And it is definitely eye candy. And that's why I bought it.
Yeah, this is something.
It's a fairly sweet looking thing. Now his concept, that's what we'll call it, is a concept sled. His thinking was in '74, what if Rupp would have built a Snow Pro sled? and obviously they did not. They built at that time they built what was called the third dimension, and that was a limited sled. It really wasn't a production sled. It's a very desirable sled. But anyway, Rick built this sled. Basically what it is, in a nutshell, it's a 75 FA tunnel and bulkhead. He's got a 76 Magnum skid and suspension underneath it with a 76 Magnum cleated track. It's got a Kohler RS engine. It also has, it's a RS wide base, I believe is what it's called, and those are 75 heads. You gotta believe he put the heads on because anybody that notices them, the angle of the fins, they're cool to look at.
Yeah.
He put Mikuni 38 carburetors on it.
Oh, that's choke. Okay.
Yeah, he's got manual choke levers on it.
That's cool.
And also the skis would be on that's the same skis that a 76 Magnum would have had. So the fiberglass, like I mentioned before, in 74, Rupp built a 3D race sled. So he used the 3D glass lowers and the hood, custom fitted, so that it is more of a mid-mount engine design. On the 3D, the engine would have been placed here, but for the Rupp guys, they would understand what I'm talking about. And he custom built this dash, and with the custom handlebars, kind of gives it the Snow Pro kind of look. And anyway, it had come up for sale this summer. I called Rick. We had discussion over the phone. I bought parts from him, and so we had the discussion. I said I was interested in the sled. We made a deal, and I was able to hire Gary to truck it across the country and get it over this side of the world. So, in a nutshell, it's obviously it's something that it's just another show sled. Go along with the rest of the toy collection on this side. It's fairly loud. It does move on its own. I just acquired it this summer, so I will have to try it because that's what you do when you have these things.
Yes,
you have to try it.
of course.
So in a nutshell, that's that. Now, when I bought the sled from Rick, I bought some. I wanted to know about it, and he was asking me. We were talking about the number 17 on the seat, and I asked him what was that all about. And when he built it, there was a gentleman who was murdered in his house for a home invasion. And when Rick built that, his name was Tracy Kruger was the gentleman's name, and apparently that was his race number. And Rick wanted to pay tribute to him, and that's what the 17 is all about.
A nice way to honor a good friend.
Yeah. I never knew the gentleman. I asked about what that was about, and I told him that, when I show my sleds at the shows, I always have a display sign for him, and somebody would ask, what's the 17 about? So I had that, it's a sad story, but that's at least you know what it's there for.
Yeah, and it's a good way to honor the man's memory.
Sure.
Yeah.
He was apparently he was a collector and vintage racer, and that's my knowledge about that.
Yeah. Very cool. Oh, I turned my mic off. How's that for some eye candy?
Yeah, that's awesome. I enjoyed seeing that at our show in all of his sleds. I mean, Ray's got every one of his sleds were impeccable. Absolutely. You got to take your hat off to somebody like that does the work that he does and has those sleds. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. He does most of that himself.
I like the way he says he's going to take it out for a ride.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
I think everybody should ride them.
Yeah, I know with my TX, the guy that restored it, he was afraid I was just going to take it and park it on a pedestal and it was going to sit there. And he was so tickled to see me take it out on a trail, to kind of show off his work a little bit. It was fun. It was fun to see him get excited about it too.
Yeah. Cool deal. We've got some comments that have come in, and we're also going to have a second look at that Rebel. He's going to start it up for us a little later in the podcast.
I haven't heard it run yet. I want to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just as easy on the ears as it is on the eyes. I'll say that for it. And also, we've got some footage from Ray, also from that Pittsburg show we're going to be looking at later in the podcast. But let's see. David from Alaska Railroad has a comment for you, Ray. He says that 80, that Polaris was not for sale, and he says that the 80 was blue. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's probably a good thing because I would have had to make a trip out there.
Yes. And then Rick Matson says 76, 77, 78, 79 had the same TX body style, and it changed in 1980. And you're right. I think that's when they started with the Centurion. And then the TXL started looking more like the Centurion and that more rounder style.
Yeah.
And a few other quick comments here. Dave Lowry says hello from Alberta, where they have some snow on the ground. Cool deal.
Awesome.
Joe Zenert says cool custom Rupp. Absolutely. David from Alaska Railroad says if only Rupp would have built a sled just like that. Yeah. That would fly off the shelves. And then Paul Peruski says that is one cool Rupp. And as does Josh Leverker. A lot of comments on that Rupp. And I do believe anyone who sees that is going to have a lot of love for that Rupp for sure. Cool. Any other comments, gentlemen, before we move on to the next item? Or
no?
Cool. All right. So we are on item number 4. A bizarre and interesting and wonderful coincidence. Larry Buerman, who was inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame just last month, September 10th, 2022. It was published on the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame Facebook group just today that today is his birthday. So how is that for a coincidence that we're going to show his induction tonight? I had already planned to do that, and then I found this where the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame is wishing him a happy birthday, which is today. So I'll read this, actually, some details about his racing history. The Hall of Fame wishes him a happy birthday, Larry Buerman. Larry was inducted into the Hall of Fame on September 10th. Larry earned the coveted number 1 for the 69 and 70, as well as the 73, 74 seasons. He is the first driver to earn the USSA Eastern Division number 1 for his victories during the 68-69 season, and this riding Ski-Doo snowmobiles. So what a perfect opportunity to set up a clip of his induction. So let me, he's just a couple clicks away here. Let's take a look at his induction into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame on September 10th. Let's take a look.
Larry Buerman. You can sit there, Larry, and stay in the shade for as long as you want until we call for you because it's a hot day. So we'll have you come up after I finish reading your race record here. Larry Buerman, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2022. Larry was the first Eastern Snowmobile racer to earn USSA's number 1 gold bib for the 1970 season by winning more races than any other driver in 1968 and 69. In 1970, Larry won the New York State Championship along with the Adirondack Cup, and he also won the Pennsylvania State Championship. While racing Ski-Doo in the 1972 World Series in Ironwood, Michigan, Buerman won all heat races and semifinals in Mod 2, but he unfortunately hit the wall in the feature. In Mod 5, his choke stuck on one cylinder during the feature, but Larry still came in 3rd. Grabbing 5th in points for the Eastern Division in Mod 5 earned him gold bib number 11. Buerman was high points man for the 1972 and 73 seasons at the Weedsport Speedway in Weedsport, New York. Larry cleaned house at Coudersport, Pennsylvania in 1973 by winning in Mod 2, Mod 4, Mod 5, and 340 stock. He went home with over $4,000 and still holds the average speed record on this half-mile track in Mod 4 and Mod 5. Think about it, 50 years ago. For the 1972-73 season, Larry Buerman made history again by becoming the very first racer to earn 2 number 1 gold bibs and is only the 2nd person to do so by taking high points in Mod 2, Mod 4, and 5th in Mod 5. Larry was offered a spot as driver for the Alouette factory team by Gilles Villeneuve in 1974, but he's decided instead to become a USSA race director, which he was for the 74 and 75 season. Larry Buerman raced for Kostich Ski-Doo, T. Frains Motorski, and Elliott and Hutchins Ski-Doo, all New York distributors. He was regarded as the man to beat by his many competitors during the golden era of snowmobile racing. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Buerman.
Thank you. Let's get the picture first. Okay. Thank you for everybody that showed up and for those that couldn't make it. When I was younger, to be number one was the only thing to do. Number two didn't count. But at my age now, to be number one would be even better than when I was one younger. But I don't think that'll happen anymore at my age. So I want to thank everybody again, like I said, that showed up for this. I want to thank Paul Crane for this beautiful museum and all the sleds he's got and the thought and the mind to put this together. I want to thank Edwin Rosenbrook for starting the Hall of Fame, which would have never happened in the West because they look at us as cowboys that's fallen off a horse. We rode the horse better than they did. Yay. There was a lot of politics there, and I actually could write a book about it, but I won't because I don't want to take your time up. I want to thank USSA for starting the organization, which all of a sudden just come to be. Nobody thought it was going to happen and be as big as it was. They didn't even think so. We had to scratch to try to get members to really get this thing going. And once it started, wow, did it take off. And I wish we still had something today like that for the younger people. But they'd rather be in one of them little buzz cars and, than a snowmobile. I want to acknowledge and thank all my sponsors, Kasha's Nursery and Fruit Farm. He was my first sponsor, which I was a fruit farmer. And who thought another fruit farmer would sponsor another fruit farmer? But he was a great guy. Glenn Donnelly, Wheat Sport Speedway, sponsored me for 1 year. Elliot Hutchison sponsored me. B&M Speed Shop, Mel Johnson and his partners did all the brain work on the sled. I more or less was the jockey. The Dufresne Brothers, AC Delco, and Mark III Oil. They were all my sponsors, and I want to thank all of them, because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here today. I mean, I worked hard a 7-day week, or 5-day week on the sled. I'd come home Sunday night, Monday morning I would be back to B&M Speed Shop, completely tearing the sled down. And you got to eat and sleep it to be a number one, or to think you were going to win this race. I didn't go to come in second. And that's what B&M was behind me and all of my other sponsors. And my two sons were the same way. I have a younger son, Scott, that has won 5 national champions in go-kart racing. And my older son was probably the best Yamaha engine builder in the state. And politics got into that too, and they quit. I want to thank Oscar St. Ange, was my partner for 2 years, for letting us use his Winnebago to travel all over the country. I really appreciate it, and we can't get a hold of him. He belongs up here with me, but he doesn't want to answer his phone. I wish that somebody could get him up here, because there was a competitor from day one. Being a young kid, he was a tremendous driver and a really good guy. I would like to also thank my 2 sons for putting up with me all this time and all their support, and my ex-wife. And for all the weekends I wasn't home. I mean, that was a lot of weekends. So I think everybody knows what that's all about. I want to thank everybody again for participating in the sport and for attending this Celebrity Hall of Fame. This really means more to me than anything. Thank you.
So yeah, Larry Buerman, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Larry. What a coincidence is that, huh?
That's cool.
That's a lot of awards to win.
Yeah, for sure.
50 years later, he still has the fastest record, they said?
Yes. Yeah, so impressive. And it was nice, too, because that Hall of Fame induction ceremony, there's a lot of socializing before, during, and after that. And I had a chance to visit with him quite a bit and get to know him a little. A bunch of us had breakfast together, and just really nice to spend some time with him as well as some of the others. Very cool. In fact, since it's his birthday, we'll pop that image from back in the day. And yeah, happy birthday, Larry.
Happy birthday.
Yes. And we've got some comments coming in here. Let me find my place here. Here we go. Yes, Reese Fleury says, happy birthday, Larry. Cool deal. Roger Cormier says that Rupp Rebel is awesome, and we'll have a second look at that a little later in the podcast, so don't go anywhere. We're going to have a chance to hear that. David from Alaska Railroad says, nice job, Larry, and happy birthday. And Paul Peruski says, hats off to Larry. Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. Any more comments on this, gentlemen, before we move on to the next item? Or?
Oh, good.
That's quite an award he got. Yeah.
For sure.
You should be proud of that.
Yes. And another thing too, just a quick shameless plug for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. They do that award ceremony every September. It's usually the second September. The second Saturday in September in Lancaster, New Hampshire, at Crane Snowmobile Museum. Please consider going if you're within driving distance. We'd love to see you. And if you can't make it because of distance or whatever reason, we also we stream it live to 8 different places on Facebook and YouTube. So wherever you're viewing this, you'll be able to watch it live. Lastly, where did I find out about his birthday and find this image? It was on the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame Facebook group. There's a link to it in the description. Also, if you just search for Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, that's where you can find this kind of information, anything to do with Eastern racing from back in the day, to find these kind of old photographs and news updates about racers. It's a heck of a fun place, that group. So next, we're on item number 5. We've got the video clip we've been talking about, and this is from the event that Ray Lacasse put on in Pittsburg, New Hampshire last month. Let's get that queued up here. And we're going to take a look. Here it comes. Stand back, everyone. There you have it. Yeah, very cool show, Ray. Very nice.
It was cool, and you know, I had a lot of help. People like Armin Buto, another great guy, Rupp guy.
Yes.
Warren Chase in town, Reggie Parker. I had a lot of people that really helped me. It couldn't have been done without a huge group effort. Great guys. Whenever I call them up, boom, they're right there. Always there, willing to help and get everything going. So just want to thank everybody that was involved, and I can't wait to do it again next year. I think it's going to be probably 3 times bigger, I hope. So we got a lot of good input and a lot of places to look into to help make this grow too.
Nice. And I think what I'm going to do before we switch gears, or actually, Rob, did you have any questions or comments about what we were just looking at? Or
Okay, you had good weather for that show and a great selection of machines you had out there too.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And what I'm going to do, Ray, I think I'm going to put you full screen and give you a chance for a shameless plug for both your upcoming winter show and the next fall show.
Yeah,
I'm going to put you full
awesome.
screen here and go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, next year's vintage show in Swap is going to be the same weekend, the third Saturday in September. So I think it's going to fall on September 16th next year. We're going to reach out into Canada, across the border. One of the gentlemen that was there, who's done a lot of these or has been to a lot of these shows, said reach out to that, and it's going to be huge. So we're looking forward to that, and we're in the stages of trying to figure out some different things that we're going to try to incorporate with this show and swap meet, and then our vintage snowmobile ride, which will be March 4th this next year. We're coordinating it on the same day as the Parade of Lights that they have, which has taken off. It's only like 4 years old. It started with maybe 200 sleds. It's grown to over 1,000 sleds, and we're hoping with Mike here in the near future that we're going to have a little bit of video to show with the Parade of Lights. The Vintage Snowmobile ride, again, we were fully expecting 300 sleds or better last year, but the weather really played havoc. We had just 30 miles south of us. We had 18 inches of wet, heavy snow, but just 30 miles south of us, it was freezing rain. So there was a lot of people that couldn't make it. And we still had about 150 sleds. It was a great turnout. Everybody loved it. The fun part with it is we have people that didn't know the ride was going on, pulling over with the new sleds, just watching, all these old vintage snowmobiles all parked together. It was like a kid walking into a candy store, like a free candy sign. And it was a lot of fun. So we're going to try to incorporate some new stuff, which we'll have on one of these podcasts, probably in the next few months, that will really have more detail on what's going to happen for that ride.
Nice. Yeah, very much looking forward to that. I'm going to try to make that, especially the Pittsburgh with them. Not sorry, the March one with the Parade of Lights. I would love to experience that.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. So the next thing we've got here is item number 6. We're going to get a chance here in a moment to listen to that Rupp Rebel. He's going to fire that up for us. But before we do, I'm going to post something in the comments because it looks like we're going to finish a few minutes early. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link where if someone is in a man cave or has anything vintage snowmobile related they'd like to share with us live on the podcast in real time, all you have to do with your cell phone is click on that link while we're looking at this Rupp video. And on the other side, if you've got something vintage snowmobile related to show us, we'll bring you on and we can do some show and tell till about the top of the hour. So I'm giving you a kind of a heads up so you can be getting ready with that while we're watching this video. So I've put that in the comments. So all you have to do is click. Now I'm going to queue up that Rebel video, and we're going to have a chance to listen to him start that up. So let's do exactly that.
Awesome.
Is it an option to start this thing up?
Sure, I'll give her a whirl, see if she'll start.
Very, very cool. Yeah, thank you, Ray. I appreciate that.
Feeling. So I got a new shut-off switch coming, but I decided that until that comes, I don't know if I'll tell you what I did. I was took it to a couple shows, and I could smell gas in my trailer. And I'm like, where the hell's the gas? And I couldn't see where it's leaking. Well, I don't know if it was gravity feeding right into the engine or not, but when I couldn't get it started and it was flooded. And I kept pulling and fuel's coming out the cylinders and coming out the pipes. It was a good workout to get it finally running, and you can see the stain here. So where my shutoff is, it's not very accessible. So I am now going to put a different shutoff where I can just reach in and shut it off. But right now we're just cheating. We're just pinching.
Squeezing the hose.
I just pinching the fuel line.
That's a good idea.
So that it will not do that again, because when I got it from Rick, he had told me, he said, I haven't started it for a while. I recommend you change all the fuel lines. Probably change it, clean the bottom, check the carburetors and such. And I did. There wasn't any tarnished fuel in there, but the fuel lines definitely needed to be changed. So it didn't take me much to have the thing running. I drained out all the old gas. If you notice, it's got a like an oval track style of race tank on there. So the bung is on the lower side of the right side of the tank, and the fuel just drains out fairly. It doesn't even have to have a check. It didn't have a check valve in it. So you learn a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I will admit that this thing, it definitely has a cool factor to it.
Oh yeah.
It's just one man's dream of something that's cool.
Oh, for sure.
And like I said, I wish I could. I changed a few things when I bought it from Rick. The gauges on it. When I got the thing, I said to Rick, I went to start it, and I said, none of the gauges are hooked up right. And he told me, he said, hey, I took that thing to shows, and I did really well with the shows. But he said to me, I never had them hooked up. He said, I didn't want to get into the nuisance of all the wiring and all that, and I think that's fine. So I tried hooking them up, and I couldn't make them work. So what we have is, he had 3 gauges. He had one for each cylinder head on the top, and the tack was in the center. Well, I just changed it around, so I have dual temperature gauges for the cylinder heads, and then I put a new old stock Rupp tack on there. Works great. And then I had, what do I got to do about the hole? So I put his on-off switch was in a different spot. I put that there, and I don't think I hurt the look of it.
No.
And but I brought this thing to, I think I've been to 2 or 3 shows this summer with it, and I'm pretty confident. I think I've gotten a couple trophies with it.
I believe it.
I go to these shows. I just like it when other guys notice. They said, man, did you see that thing he's got? That is cool looking.
Yeah, for sure. That's where I heard about it. I saw images from the Pittsburg show, and I saw this, and I said, that's got to be Ray's.
Yeah.
He must have picked up another sled.
Yeah, I brought that Magnum, and I brought this guy here.
Nice, yeah.
I had my mic off. I'm sorry. Yeah. Any reactions to that, gentlemen?
He's got a great collection there.
Yeah.
That pipe sounded good on that thing.
That was awesome. Great sled.
Yeah, that's right. And you've had a chance to see that in person, Ray, out at the Pittsburg show. He was out there.
I did. I saw 3 of his sleds that he had there, and every one of them was as good as the other. But this one just it does, like he said, it's just a wow factor. You look at the sled, and it's you just got to admire it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Rupp's really popped like that in general, but his he does most of that work himself, and he keeps them so clean and so shiny and so nice, and he brings them to a show, or even there in that room, they just pop. Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, does he show up for your drive, your 30-kilometer drive with the Rupp?
Well, I don't know if he didn't with that one, but I think he was at the ride with another sled. I can't remember which sled he had, but he did have another Rupp there. Another beautiful Rupp, but I don't think it was the Rebel.
No,
I think it might have been. Remember a couple of weeks ago we had some footage of a Magnum he had with that wraparound bumper that had the coolant flowing through it.
Yeah,
I think he might have brought that. Or I know at one point he told me he was going to bring that to a ride. I don't know if that's the one he brought, but I know he was talking about bringing that one to a ride. About a year ago, he was telling me that. But cool. So we get some comments coming in, and also I want to see if we have any takers who are bold, brave souls who are interested in coming on here to join us for some show and tell. If you have some vintage snowmobiles nearby, or if you have anything vintage, clothing, accessories, anything to show us, and it could even be for sale as long as it's vintage related. Click the link in the description. You can join us here for a few minutes until the top of the hour. We've got about 5 minutes here for some show and tell. We've got comments coming in. Let's see. David from Alaska Railroad says he would love to give that Rupp the onions. Nice sound. Cool deal. And then Roger Cormier says, very nice Rupp collection, and thanks for showing them. Yeah, he's got, 8 or 10 sleds in there, I think.
He had a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And then while we're waiting
with that many sleds, how do you pick which one you're going to take to the show?
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Sorry, my girlfriend's making faces at me here. But while we're waiting for some bold soul to come on for some show and tell, I've got a backup plan to get us to the top of the hour. It's going to take a minute here to pop this on the screen. But I have a Facebook group that I do. Can you guys see this on the screen yet?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, because I'm actually on the Facebook group, so I can't see what you guys are doing. But this is a Facebook group I do. It has almost 12,000 members, and it's called Wheels, Keels, and Snowmobiles. Anything with a motor is fair game in here. Cars, trucks, boats, ATVs, snowmobiles, motorcycles. Let's scroll down and look at some of the snowmobiles that are for sale on here. And the reason I mention this is a wonderful place to view and post modern vintage snowmobiles, motorcycles, ATVs, anything with a motor. But there's a lot of vintage stuff on here, and I encourage people to post. And we're just going to scroll here for a minute and take a look at some of the things people have posted.
I noticed on there just a couple of days ago, there was a nice 550 Skidoo on there for sale.
Sweet. We may come across that here as we're scrolling. But and I'd like to incorporate this as kind of a trading post feature of the podcast as we move forward, and maybe spend a few minutes on every episode of the podcast and look at some of the vintage things that people have posted. So with that in mind, I'm kind of trying to plant the seed in people's minds. If you post vintage snowmobiles and vintage snowmobile related items in here, say on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I'll be looking for that during the podcast, and something we can all enjoy. And I think there's just a few more here. We've got a Kawasaki Drifter, got a TNT. Someone's got that goes onto the bed of a pickup truck. Put your sleds on. Somebody's got a dolly. I think it's a dolly and a lift and a dolly. And then a modern sled. And then we start getting to some other stuff. Someone's got I think it's a Rolls Royce in there. Oh, this is actually cool.
We're just seeing the first page, Mike. It's not China Horse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me take a look. Oh, geez. All right. All right. I don't know what happened there, but that's about all I had on that. So I'm going to scrap that. But just to plant the seed in people's minds about the Wheels, Keels, and Snowmobiles Facebook group. There's a page and a group by the same name, as well as a YouTube channel, but this is the group, and there's a link to it in the description. Feel free to view and post all you like in there. Snowmobiles, anything with a motor, cars, trucks, boats, ATVs, snowmobiles, motorcycles. And each episode we might take a few minutes and go looking for vintage snowmobiles in there. Any comments, gentlemen, or any thoughts in general or about that? Or
no?
Yeah, those Rupps have got to be a nice looking machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just sent you a couple of pictures, Mike, of a row of Polarises, and then my Polaris in the snow when I took it out after we restored it in the snow.
Oh yes, I see those.
I figured I'd throw those in there for you.
I think I might be able to bring those on. Let me see if I can find that tab. Yes, I think I've got it. Is that coming up on the screen? There
it is.
Yes.
You got it.
There we go. So this is your collection?
It's not my collection. That's Midge Rosebrook's sled
in the middle there,
the number 25. My sled's right beside it on the right side. And the other TXs and TXL was a gentleman from Maine, Mark Holt, and his family that came over. Great group of people. And they've been to our vintage ride also. And so we had to line these up and get a picture of them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Very cool. And I think I might be able to get that other sled. And this is your 440.
That's my 440. I love that picture with the snow and the trees. That could have been their cover photo, I think, on their magazine or on their promotions.
Yes, absolutely. That could be right in a brochure or on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah, that could be this year's Christmas card for you.
Yeah.
Good idea.
There you go.
I think you're onto something with that, Rob. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Cool deal. All right, so we are at the top of the hour. I guess we don't have any takers on the coming on for some live show and tell, but we do have some comments coming in before we close the program. But gentlemen, or anyone viewing this, please keep that in mind for the future. We do have the ability to bring you on live for some show and tell. So if you've got vintage sleds nearby as you're viewing this, anything vintage related is okay if it's for sale, as long as it's a vintage snowmobile. Consider that for future episodes. And if we're not talking about that possibility, are we doing live show and tell tonight? Just ask me in the comments and we'll make it happen. If we get someone who wants to come on, we'll make it happen. But we've got David from Alaska Railroad saying, great show, gentlemen. Thank you. And we thank you as well. Reese Fleury says, wow, nice. Cool deal. David from Alaska Railroad says, you're killing me with all those TXs. No doubt, man. And then Stacy and Art Fosler says, see you guys next week. Absolutely. Well, cool. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
How about the video at the end, the tribute? Remember last night we talked about?
Oh, yes. Yeah. We had someone answer. No, you're talking about the trivia question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we do it again tonight?
Yes. And before we do, we had someone email me with an answer. It wasn't the correct answer. We'll have to figure out how we want to handle that. But I'll give you a chance to pose that question. Let's put you full screen here and go ahead with the trivia question.
At the end of the show, Mike and I did a video last year, and he's quite good at making videos. I'm surprised how well it turned out. And it talks about the AMSO products. Now, there's one product in there that's not automotive related. If somebody can send Mike an email what product it was, we're going to give them a gift.
And
so you got to watch the video at the end to find out which product on there that wasn't automotive related.
Absolutely. And here's where to send that. And I'll email you after, Rob, because the answer they gave was kind of right. It wasn't the answer that you and I had talked about.
Yeah. But
it's not necessarily wrong.
Oh, we'll accept it then.
Yeah. So I'll email you their information after the podcast, and it will go from there. Yeah, for sure. And that was on the Muscle Car podcast. And do you feel like giving a plug for the Muscle Car podcast, Rob, while you're up?
Oh, it's a fun show. There's like so many collector people with cars out there. And Mike has a couple of people lined up who has a warehouse full of cars for sale. And every week they bring one out. And they're in fantastic shape, these cars. The one last week, I think it was a $100,000 car, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I think that Charger, I think they were asking $109,000 or something for it.
Yes. Well worth it.
Well worth it for sure. That was a nice example. And there are links to the Muscle Car podcast in the description. So if anyone enjoys muscle cars and want to be a part of that as well, it's very similar to this podcast, just a different topic. We'd love to see you over there as well. But and then I guess one last thought, Ray, I'm going to put you full screen for one last quick final shameless plug for your upcoming shows.
All right. The next upcoming show, March 4th, Vintage Snowmobile Ride, Great Northwoods Vintage Snowmobile Ride. It's free. We have a big cookout, big gathering. It's a 30-mile ride on some of the best trails you'll see. Just a great time and hope to see a lot of you guys out there. It's great to see the newer vintage sleds that have been restored. Some of the ones that aren't restored, it's fun to see them spray a little ether in those carburetors and go. I'm excited about it. And if anybody would like any information on it, they can reach out to me. My phone number is 603-387 0318. I know it's not on the screen, but any of the future shows.
Permits?
What's that?
With the vintage ride, do you need trail permits and stuff like that?
No, you don't. And that's a good question. I forgot to bring that up. You do not need a permit. We have a permit through the state for that ride. You do not need to register your sleds. Anybody can come and enjoy the trail. They just have to stay on that marked trail, which we mark it very well with the signs. And thank you for asking that question. Totally forgot to
So I can bring one of the barn.
What's that?
I can bring one of my barn ones out.
Absolutely. Bring it over. I'd love to have you over here and go for the ride. And, the ride is great. The conversation after when we have the cookout is priceless. Everybody walking around, everybody's sleds and talking about, oh, my parents used to have this. My grandparents had this. This is what we used to ride. This is, and the stories how we worked on them for 5 days to ride them for one. And, it's a lot of fun. The stories are priceless. And I think that's what really makes this take off and do what it does. It's a fun event. It was always a family event. It wasn't how fast could you go. It wasn't how far you're going to go. It was to go have a short little cookout beside the trail, have a snowball fight, and have a little bit of fun on the sleds. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Cool deal. Well, we have come to that time. Thank you so much, Rob and Ray, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Wonderful podcast.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure, you're very welcome. And thank you also to the viewers. Thank you. And thank you also to the viewers for being here every week. We really appreciate it. And as always, final word goes to AMSOIL. Have a good one, guys. Hello, everyone. This is Rob and Mike. How you doing today, Rob?
I'm doing good. Mike, yourself?
Very well. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Now, today, we're going to be talking about AMSOIL. And in a few moments, we're going to show you how you can get the deepest discounts, free shipping, and free gifts when you order your AMSOIL products through us. But first, I'm going to ask Rob to give you a quick description of what AMSOIL is and why you should consider using AMSOIL products in your motorized vehicles.
Thanks, Mike. AMSOIL is 100% synthetic oil. Everybody uses AMSOIL for a different reason. Some people like the benefits that AMSOIL is warranted for 25,000 miles or 1 year. The reason we can do that is because AMSOIL doesn't oxidize. It doesn't form the usual carbons, gums, sludges like petroleum oils do. That's why we can keep it in the engines longer. Petroleum oils never do wear out. They oxidize themselves. That's why they have to be changed at 3,000 kilometers. And AMSOIL likes the benefit that you only have to change the oil once a year. That saves some money. Some of the people like the benefit of AMSOIL is it's a slipperier type lube. By having a slipperier type lube, it cuts down friction and drag. By less friction and drag, engines run 20 to 50 degrees cooler, better gas mileage. Now, AMSOIL says 25% more protection than the industry requires is in the AMSOIL bottles. My average customer gets about 10% increase in gas mileage. That's a big savings.
Yeah.
And by cutting down friction and drag, for every 10 degrees you cut down the friction and drag, doubles the life of the engine. So by having the engine run cooler, it makes it last longer. Some people like the benefit of the range of the AMSOIL. AMSOIL's flash point is 425 degrees, and it pours at 50 below zero. Wow. If you ever tried petroleum oil when it's 10 below, it turns to honey. And in the summertime, petroleum oil thins out, and once it thins out, that's when it starts breaking down. So AMSOIL is an all-season oil, can give you better gas mileage, longer engine life, less maintenance. It ends up being cheaper over a year's time running AMSOIL than it is petroleum oils.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And AMSOIL is available for pretty much any motorized vehicle, anything from lawn equipment, cars, trucks, boats, ATVs, motorcycles, snowmobiles.
Yep. And a lot of people phone me up and say, well, what's the benefit of our gear lube? Exactly what I told you about the engine oil. It pours in cold weather, it runs cooler, makes the equipment last longer. And they say, well, what's the benefit of the small engine? Same thing. Makes the engine run cooler, last longer, better performance. So it saves on all the applications that AMSOIL has available.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, let's talk now. Hopefully this has convinced people to think about maybe joining us in the AMSOIL experience. Let's talk about some of the discounts and free shipping and how that all happens. I'm going to pop a graphic on the screen. And yeah, by all means, if you want to talk people through how this preferred customer program works.
AMSOIL has a number of different programs. One of our main ones is a catalog customer, where somebody can order directly out of our catalog. If they order out of the catalog, they order $100 worth, AMSOIL will ship it right to their house. But our best program is our preferred customer. For only $10 for 6 months, you become a preferred customer, you save 25% on all the product. You order $100 worth, they're going to give you free shipping. You don't have to order a whole case. You can mix and match. Say you want 4 bottles of small engine, 7 bottles of 5W30, and a couple of gear loops. You can mix and match. You can order 1 bottle at a time if you want. There's no minimums, no maximums. By being a preferred customer, you save over 25% on all the products you're going to buy. AMSOIL sends you extra gifts, a $5 gift certificate on your birthday, $5 when you renew your account, and stuff like that. So it's a good way to save on some of the products you want to buy.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's an incredible value. And this is the deepest level of discount that anyone can get when ordering AMSOIL. Is that correct?
It is. It is.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's take people through the step-by-step experience of placing an AMSOIL order. Then that would include signing up for the preferred customer preferred customer program, so they can receive those deepest levels of discount. So let's go to the website. This is what the website's going to look like. These are some screenshots. Once you go to amsoil.com, there's a link in the description, or you can just type that into a browser, amsoil.com. This is the page you land on. At the upper corner of the page there, you see how I've circled in red. That is the link to click, the Join Now link. That will take you to the Preferred Customer Program page, where you can take advantage of all of these discounts and free shipping and everything that we've just been talking about. This is what that page looks like. In the lower right, you're going to click Join Now. This will pop up. You select the duration you'd like, whether it's 6 months or 12 months, and click Add to Cart. Now, once this pop-up goes away, you'll be back on the main page. And the upper left, you'll see where I've got that red arrow. It says Shop. Now you can start shopping for products, and on your very first order, you're going to get these discounts and the free shipping as long as it's over $100. You'll get all of these benefits right away. So once you click Shop, it's going to take you to a product page. There's different types of oils, lubricants, so on and so forth. For the benefit of this exercise we're doing now, I'm just going to click motor oil. It shows different types of motor oil. Let's click gasoline. Now this takes us to an item. It's their synthetic motor oil. And you can see the item there, and there's choices for different viscosities. But take a look at the price. Let's take a closer look. Let's zoom in. But if you've joined the preferred customer program first, you're going to automatically get the deepest levels of discount. That's what we're looking at here. You're saving $3.80 on that quart of oil. Instead of paying $16.29, you're now paying $12.49 for that quart of oil. That is the deepest level of discount you can possibly get. And then you just add the quantity that you'd like. You select any other items that you're thinking about, add them to the cart. And once you click Add to Cart for the final time, you're going to see this come up at the top of the screen. It's going to show your items and the total that you're at so far. Pardon me. And then you just click View Cart in the upper right, and that'll take you to your cart. Take a close look here at the upper right. That blue box shows that you're getting free shipping. You're eligible for free shipping on this order because it's over $100. That little yellow box shows that you've got the preferred customer membership on your order that gives you the deepest levels of discounts for the next 6 to 12 months. And then below that, you've got the items that have been selected. For the exercise here, I selected 9 quarts of the signature series, but that brings us up over $100 for the free shipping. We're saving $34.20. And if you're ready to finish, you click Checkout Now, and that takes you to this screen here. If you haven't signed up with an AMSOIL account at this point, just click in the lower right to create an account, create a new account. It's going to ask you for some basic information, name and those types of things. Now let's take a closer look. You'll see this gray shaded box. This is a very important box. This is going to ask you if someone has referred you to AMSOIL. And if so, please enter my name. My name is Mike LaPierre. It's spelled right there on the screen for the correct spelling. And also the referral number, 304-555-94. That's how you make sure that Rob and I get credit for this. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I have signed up for AMSOIL under Rob. So when you order using this referral number, Rob and I both benefit. So if you enjoy these podcasts that we're doing, this is a wonderful way to support the podcast, because when you order using this referral number, Rob and I both benefit. And the commissions I make go directly toward offsetting the cost of doing these podcasts. So I thank you in advance for that, for using my referral number. I very much appreciate it. And once you've done that, you just go into the next screen to enter your payment information, and you're done. Now, once you've placed your order that's over $100, and that order includes your AMSOIL Preferred Customer Program, you are now eligible to get a free DVD from myself. Now, this is going to be either a muscle car DVD or a vintage snowmobile DVD. Use the email address on the screen, wkspodcasts@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know which DVD you would like me to send you, the muscle car or the vintage snowmobile DVD, and I'll get that right out to you. As you're typing in that email, in the subject line, be sure and type in capital letters, free DVD requests, so it stands out as I'm checking my email, and we'll get that right out to you. So I guess the last thing, Rob, that we wanted to talk about is if someone is considering AMSOIL as a business opportunity.
Yes. If anybody has a retail or a commercial account and they would like to buy directly from AMSOIL, just send Mike a line. He'll show you how to set up, and you can buy directly from AMSOIL. But if you are interested in starting your own part-time business, a part-time business that can grow into a full-time income, Mike and I will show you the AMSOIL marketing plan. AMSOIL has a large selection of products that cover almost every application. So it doesn't matter if you're into snowmobile, boating, or ATVing or hot rods. We have an oil for every application. It's a fun type business that's I really enjoy doing. Where else can I go and have fun and make money doing it? And Mike and I are here to help you all the way along. If you need any help on how to promote or to find new accounts, we're here to help you.
For sure, for sure. So when you sign up under that number, this 304-555-94, you're getting Rob and I as a team. Now, Rob has been doing AMSOIL for 40 years. Can you believe that? 40 years. So he knows every aspect of this business, and he knows all of the ins and outs of the products. So he'll be able to help you with any kind of product questions or any kind of questions to show you the different business models that you can do with AMSOIL. And then the other thing that you get when you sign up under me is I've got a strong background in social media. So if you need some coaching on how to generate AMSOIL leads using Facebook and YouTube, I'm happy to coach you with that when you sign up under Rob and I. You get both of us as a team to help you, to coach you, to support you, whatever you need to get you off and running with this business and having fun with it. Like Rob said, it's an enormous amount of fun. If you're like Rob and I and you enjoy going to any kind of boat shows, car shows, motorcycle shows, snowmobile shows, anything with a motor, you like going to those shows, those events, those races, this is a great way to turn that into a income opportunity for you.
Yes. And just by wearing my AMSOIL hat at one of these events, people come up and ask me about AMSOIL. People don't know where to buy it, and I'm there to help them, show them where they can buy the product. Perfect.
Well, cool. Well, this is great. Any final thoughts, Rob, before we wrap it up?
AMSOIL's a fun business. AMSOIL's been around since 1968. It was the first synthetic oil to be AI approved.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that's very early in the game too, isn't it?
Yes.
For sure. Well, good. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for viewing. Hopefully, we've gotten you excited as we are about the AMSOIL products. We'd love it if you could join us either as someone who uses the AMSOIL products or to join the AMSOIL team as a business opportunity. And we thank you so much for viewing. Have a great day.
You have a good day.